It has been 1 whole month since I left social media. And you might be thinking to yourself, how have you managed to cope without constantly scrolling through your phone all day long, looking at ways to improve your lifestyle? Well, it's been quite easy because I've been doing this for a very long time. And this whole content social media thing, I realise is something that you do because you enjoy it, not because you have to. Well, not because there is this immediate crave for instant validation in the way of likes and shares and all of this type of stuff. So what I've realised is what I've known all along. Social media is just a tool. It is a tool that you use to get your message out into the world. And unfortunately, somewhere along the line, eating bananas and drinking coffee turns out to be the thing that is going to destroy your life and make you poor and fat. The crazy thing about not being on social media as much anymore is that it's allowed me to concentrate and focus on the people that mean the most to me. So how has my first month been? Well, get yourself a coffee and maybe a banana, sit yourself down, because I'm going to give you a few home truths about the reasons why you should probably leave social media too. Now, let me tell you, one thing about coming off of social media that will help more of you is your state of mind. Not spending all day looking at people telling you that you're doing things wrong really does have a profound effect on the way that you think about yourself. And since I've come off of social media, what I've realised is that the validation aspect of what we put out into the world doesn't really exist. It's not really a thing. And I think that for a very long period there, I was caught up in feeling like putting out content wasn't really for me, wasn't really for my clients. It was just for the sole purpose of being validated by an app, which when you say that out loud, validated by an app, is quite sad. But what I've realised is there are a lot of sad people on the internet, and taking yourself away from that, as much of a struggle as it can be, because these things have become such an issue now. They've become so ingrained in our everyday life now. I mean, if I'm not getting notified by this, I'm getting notified by this. And that's something that has become quite an issue for a lot of people these days. The constant stream of information that we're taking in or giving out. And I guess that for me, especially in the business of fitness, you know, trying to show people and showcase my skills, trying to show people and showcase my talents as a coach, kind of became this competition where I was trying to put out content better than everybody else. And for the most part, I was only really beating myself up, because I don't know if any of you know this, but there's this little hormone called dopamine. Dopamine is the thing that makes you feel good when you do something. And social media is one of these things that if you constantly sit there scrolling all day long, like we do, I mean, how many times have you gone out to dinner and seen half the dinner table on their phones whilst they're talking to people? It's because we're constantly getting this stream of dopamine, and it feels good when people acknowledge your posts. It feels good writing something really meaningful and somebody likes it straight away or somebody comments on it straight away. It makes you feel good. But the problem is we lead ourselves into a false sense of security, and it almost becomes a lie to the point where you feel like you're somebody you're not. And if you go onto social media, you'll see a lot of that. You'll see people carrying this sort of fake persona because they have X amount of followers or they get a certain amount of likes, which can become quite destructive. And it also breeds this attitude of I'm better than everybody else because certain things get certain amounts of likes and a follower count goes up every time you post something. It's a little bit weird. But what I've noticed since I've come away from social media is I'm not thinking about any of that anymore. There is no thought in my day that now becomes committed to having to be on social media. And that's very freeing for me. It's almost like people who become attached to counting steps and counting calories. Is when you realise you don't have to do that. You have so much more space in your brain to do and focus and commit to things that actually serve a purpose. And that's a little bit like social media. It's got to a point now where you're seeing the same shit regurgitated in 50,000 different ways by 50,000 different people, all saying the same shit. And if you feel like you have to compete with that and keep up with that, which is something that I did, I'll be honest, I felt like I had to impress social media. Which again, when you say that out loud, I felt like I had to impress social media. It's kind of sad because it's literally an app that you download onto your phone. But it's captured so many people's attentions now because of virality and trends and things that go on the internet that people feel lost without it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you right now, the less time you spend on social media, the more time you spend having a life. Over the last month, I have realised how much time I have wasted thinking that social media was real life. It's very easy to get suckered into thinking that what's going on an app is really what's going on in the world. But I can tell you right now, it's not. Training, yes, physical exercise, resistance training, strength training, whatever you want to call it, going to the gym and making yourself big and strong. It's something that social media really put a massive dent in, if I'm going to be completely honest. And the reason why is mainly because of comparison. I think we as humans all tend to have this inbuilt comparison thing going on where it doesn't matter how well we do, it doesn't matter how much money we make, it doesn't matter how good we feel, it doesn't matter how good we look, it doesn't matter what we have. For some reason, we feel like it is not enough. And I can tell you, not being on social media has taken my training to another level. And the reason why is because I no longer judge myself based on other people. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, Grant, you've been doing this for a very long time. Surely you have grown out of this feeling of comparison. But no, the feeling of comparison never leaves you. What leaves you is giving yourself the opportunity to compare yourself. And if you come off social media, there's nothing to compare yourself against. So in that aspect, the only way to get rid of this comparison is to remove the things that make you compare yourself. And as we all know, everybody likes to tell you how good they are, how much money they have, how big their house is, and how great they look when they've got their clothes off. And in terms of comparison, those are really the driving forces behind people's poor states of mental health and self-esteem. Again, if you are struggling with your self-esteem and your mental health and the way that you view yourself, I would probably urge you to come off social media, because for someone as strong-minded as myself, somebody who is very reassured and very confident in his abilities, as somebody that people look up to for help and inspiration, coming off of social media has helped me focus on myself tremendously. When I go to the gym, for example, and I train, I'm not constantly worried about taking videos of myself. Nor am I really too bothered about taking photos of myself, because I didn't know if you know this, but there's this kind of unwritten rule of if you don't video yourself doing an exercise, then you never really did it. And if you don't take photos of yourself in the mirror, it never really happened. And it's almost like gyms have now become this place that people go to for the clout and simply turn up there to take photos of themselves to make people think that they are fitness orientated. And you better believe I have seen it. People walking into gyms, taking photos, setting up their tripods, doing a couple of exercises, and then leaving. Almost like the gym is a place that gives you instant gratification. Oh yes, it's that word again, isn't it? It's dopamine word, that instant gratification. And I think for myself personally, because this is all down to my interpretation of social media, everybody else seems to be living in this world where they think it's true and real and everything's fine and dandy. Coming off of social media has improved my training because I'm concentrating more on what I'm doing in the gym rather than everybody else looking at me or thinking I don't look good enough, or that my video lighting is wrong, or that my photo angles are incorrect. I can simply focus on training, focus on what it is that I'm there to do, concentrate long enough to get it done, and get the fuck out. A very, very important part of being off of social media is my business. My business is something that I have been building, growing, and trying to improve on for the last 15 years. And social media, when it first came out, was this tool that people didn't really use for business. And like I mentioned in a previous video, has now become this massive thing that people use for business, and rightly so, because it's free and you can get your message out into the world and everybody can know how great you are. The problem arises when things start to get a little bit negative, a little bit toxic, and people just chuck out any old shit to try and get likes and views and whatever else that these experts tell you need to do to grow a business. So for me, coming off of social media was actually quite a relief, because having been in the game for as long as I have, I realised I don't really have anyone else to compete with, because there is nobody else like me. So what I've done is I have set up a system away from social media, brought all my clients off of social media, because the hard thing about being a coach in 2024 is that I might be off of social media, but a lot of my clients are still on social media, so I still get questions about social media, because social media is social media. One benefit of not having any of my real bulk of my business on social media is that I can keep my clients away from the distractions of the nonsense and the bullshit of what people talk about, and keep them in a place that allows them to learn at their own pace, gives them the information that they need, doesn't bombard them with constant streams of dopamine, allows them to get through things at their own pace, and provides them with an honest approach to what getting in shape and working on your mind and body actually means. So coming off of social media for me has actually helped my business. In the month that I've been off social media, I've had more people reach out to me, and I guess that's because I'm not as available anymore. I feel that sometimes social media becomes this place that people feel like they have to be on in order to create more business, in order to make more money. And I'll be completely honest with you, I'm in a bit of a different situation because I've been doing this for so long. My reputation is already out there. My clients know exactly the way that I work. They know exactly what they're working towards. People have seen my history of what I can help people do in terms of changing their bodies, changing their minds, and ultimately learning how to do all of that stuff for the rest of their lives. So I kind of got caught up in this comparison game for a little bit, and it's something that I don't really need to do. And more importantly than anything is me being able to give my clients clear, concise information that allows them as the individual to be able to take their time to learn it at their own pace. And that is something that is very important when it comes to trying to change your body, trying to change the way that you live your life, and trying to develop personally. When you get too much information at once, it becomes very hard to digest what it is you're taking in. And again, like I mentioned in a previous video, learning really comes down to understanding how you learn. And when you're taking in so many pieces of information from so many different sources, from so many different people, said in so many different ways, it starts to get a little bit confusing, and it literally goes in one ear and completely out the other. So coming off of social media has allowed me to create my business in a way that allows my clients to invest in me, time to invest in the information that I can give to them. Not only that, it allows them breathing space from social media, because I can only control what I'm in control of. And if my clients want to go on social media, then that is completely up to them. But the one thing I do know is that when they are ready to start learning, when they are ready to get serious about their education aspect, they don't go to social media for the answers. They go to the place that they know they can learn. They go to the place where they know that the information is there for them as the individual to take their time and learn at their pace, rather than trying to digest a lifetime's worth of information in a 45-second clip, remember everything that was said, and then try and apply it in their life only to forget 30 seconds later. They now have a complete system away from social media, away from the distraction, away from the comparison, where they can learn at their own pace. And for me as a coach, that is exactly what I got into this for, to be able to help people learn how to change their lives. And social media is kind of making that a very hard thing to do if you're paying more attention to it. So for me, coming off of social media, my business is thriving, it's doing really well. My clients have all fully accepted that and can understand why, and actually appreciate the fact that they don't have to battle their way through my content with other people's content, because like I said, it's a bit of a cesspool of shit out there now. So, you know, again, if there's any coaches out there that are watching this, I would urge you to maybe have a look into trying to step away from social media a little bit and give your clients a bit of respite from the thousands and thousands of experts that seem to have arisen all of a sudden. And on that note, let's wrap this up. So, an entire month away from social media. Yes, I'm still doing my lives on a Friday. And yes, I'll post some stuff on stories on my private group and a few bits on my main page. But other than that, being away from social media is actually giving me another perspective on life. It's actually enabled me to do things that I really enjoy in life without having to feel like I have to keep everybody else updated on my exact movements of where I am and what I'm doing and how my clients are doing. It's actually been a massive relief, if I can be completely honest with you, to not have to rely on an app to make me feel like I'm validated on this planet. And I think if more people could give themselves a chance just to step back from this machine that has become uncontrollable, you will very quickly start to realize that there is much more to life than spending all of your time on this. And if we can just give ourselves that time to have time and to be able to learn and create a life that we want rather than spending all of our time scrolling on a phone, you'll start to realize that you've got more time in your days than you think. I mean, on average, I will spend about an hour and a half looking through social media, but for me, it's more doing a little bit of housekeeping and just getting rid of a few things, deleting a few accounts, unfollowing certain people, and sometimes it's looking and seeing what's going out in the market just to make sure that I'm not off the pace. As of late, that doesn't seem to be the case, and maybe that's the imposter syndrome in me that makes me think that I'm not quite good enough and that I have to be there. But from what I've seen demonstrated in the last 6 months to a year, it ain't getting any better. So it's something that actually allows me to distance myself away from everybody else, because we are in a world of competition and everybody's trying to outdo everybody else. And rather than trying to make myself stand out with forced content that I feel has to be there every single day, I've simply taken myself away from it all. And in doing so is what has separated me from everybody else. So I feel like it's a great thing for me. It's a great thing for my business. It's helping the way that I think. It's allowing me more time to do things that I enjoy, like read and develop my business without the constant worry that it's not going to be good enough. It's allowing my clients to learn about how their bodies work without the distraction and the noise of everybody else telling them what they're doing is wrong. And it's also giving me the opportunity to spend more time with the people in my life that I want, rather than spending all of my time sat at a computer editing content to get validation and instant gratification from people that I don't even fucking know. So yes, I would say that this has been a success. I will keep you updated. We'll do a 1 month update, which is this video, and we'll do a 6 month update, which will be in 5 months time. And we'll see how we're getting on. I can already envisage that life will be so much better in 5 months time, having spent even less time on social media. So from me to you, I hope that you can use this video as some sort of inspiration, whether you're a coach, whether you're just a normal individual trying to find ways to improve their lifestyle. Coming off of social media, or at least limiting your exposure to social media, if you're looking for an overnight instant fix, this will be it. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe, comment your experiences on social media. If you've come away from it, if you're trying to come away from it, just jump in the comments and let me know. I'm always here. I'll be happy to have a conversation with you on ways that you can do that. But from now, that's me done. I will catch you in the next one. Social media has become so open and exposing to so much. For a lot of adults, it's very difficult because there's so much information. Every time you go on your phone, it's a different opinion, it's a different variation, it's a different tactic, it's a different strategy, it's a different opinion, it's a different outlook. There's no continuity, there's no consistency, there's no stability in information. Whereas when I was growing up, it is what it is because that's what it is.